feel it taking hold.
Welcome to the first edition of Shiftless Nation, a show dedicated to the fixed gear and track bike way of life. I'm your host, Brandon Tompkins. Most of you are probably wondering, what is a fixed gear? Tonight's show will answer this and more as we give you insight into the people who ride them. So what is a fixed gear? A fixed gear, also known as a fixie, is a bicycle that has no freewheel, meaning it can't coast, as in the pedals are always in motion when the bike is moving. Around the world, fixed gear bike riding is enjoyed by many from all walks of life and at any level of ability.
My name is Jesus Garcia, work in air conditioning. Been riding fixed gear 1 year.
My name is Ryan Gebhardt. I'm a mechanic at Trinity Bicycles. I've been riding fixed gear bikes for about 4 years now.
My name is Bernie Scheffler, bicycle shop owner. I've been riding fixed gears for 8 years now.
My name is Mark Penland, and I'm an instructional associate. I've been riding fixed gear bikes for 3 years.
Alex Caballero, and I am a personal banker. I've been riding fixed gear about 6 years now.
Another characteristic of a fixed gear bike, and especially a track bike, is the brakes, or the lack thereof. Track bikes don't have brakes because in velodrome racing, you don't need them. You use the 45-degree bank turn to slow you down. Some feel fixed gear bikes need to follow that minimalist feel of a track bike and ride brakeless as well.
I do ride with front brake on my fixed gear. It's more of a safety issue. I barely use my front brake. I like the assurance that it's there in case I need it.
I've been riding without brakes since I've been riding a fixed gear for 6 years. But there's just the way that I ride. I'm pretty careful. I know that accidents happen, and I have had a few close calls. So riding brakeless is a choice, a personal choice, and just trying to ride my bike the way it was designed to be. Just kind of a kickback to track bikes and the way they don't ride brakes. So it's more of a homage to like the original track bikes. So that's why I ride brakeless.
Other riders dismiss riding on the roads without brakes for various reasons.
My sense of self-preservation requires me to use brakes at all times.
When riding without brakes, it is possible to slow down or stop by resisting the turning cranks, by unweighting the rear wheel and shifting the rider's weight slightly forward, then pulling up on the front pedals while pushing down on the rear one, causing the rear wheel to skid to a stop. This technique requires a little practice, to say the least. By now, I'm sure you're asking, why would I want to do this? To answer this, you have to ask yourself, why do I ride?
I ride because I like being outside and just enjoy the weather here in Dallas and just being outdoors, getting a little exercise, getting a little sun. I just like being outside.
I ride for fun a lot. I do a lot of mountain biking, and riding fixed gear and on the road is good exercise. I also ride to commute, ride to work and grocery runs and all that.
For all you listeners tuning in, I would like to welcome you to the first edition of Shiftless Nation. I'm your host, Brandon Tompkins. Tonight's show, we're giving you insight into the fixed gear and track bike way of life and the people who ride them. There are lots of advantages of a fixed gear bike over a geared road bike. Others feel
There's a lot of advantages that you wouldn't think of right away. I find I get up hills a lot faster, partially because I'm forced to do it in a bigger gear than I normally would, partially just because the momentum of not being able to coast seems to carry you a little further up the hill with the momentum you have from the hill before it. But I think the biggest thing that it's helped me is it's helped me be a better rider on my non-fixed bike because I can now spin a lot faster and a lot smoother than I used to.
Another point to think about is the fact that fixed gear bikes have been around since 1885 with the invention of the chain drive. The chain drive connects the frame-mounted cranks to the rear wheel. So the big question is, after all these years, why are they becoming popular again?
People get online and they see what other tribes are doing outside of their tribe, and you start to copy that behavior. You're modeling behavior that you think is cool. I mean, that's what you do, you know, if you're a shameless trend chaser like I am.
They're becoming more popular because I think the younger crowd is getting into them because one of the first things is they're more affordable because you don't have to buy expensive gears. Second, it's like anything else. I think people see to the past and how things used to be, and it might be a vintage look or what have you, but track bikes have always been around, so they're just not becoming more popular because people are starting to see into a way where they can ride in the ways that many years ago were ridden, because they didn't have derailleurs and gears and things like that. So it's just a simplistic aspect of riding a fixed gear bike that makes it fun.
But is this a fad that will eventually die over time?
I think it's hard to call it a fad because the bikes have been around for so long. Bike messengers have used them professionally for forever, it seems like. I think it'll reduce. I think the number of people riding them as their first bike might go down a little bit, but I wouldn't call it a fad. I think it's here to stay.
I don't think riding fixed gear is a fad at all. I think the people who are getting into it nowadays are kind of being introduced to bicycling in general. So I think fixed gear is a good entrance into the sport if you're not into it. And fixed gears have been around for longer than coasting bikes, so I think they'll stick around.
So now that we know fixed bikes are here to stay in some form or fashion, how will this affect the Dallas-Fort Worth area?
The future of fixed gear riding in Dallas-Fort Worth is like any other cycling sport in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. I think the more infrastructure they build to allow people to go out into the public areas and ride safer, it's going to just drive people to go outdoors and use the streets the way they were meant to be used.
I think in the future you'll see even more fixed gear riders than you do now in the DFW area, and I think a lot of that will come as DFW becomes more and more bike friendly. I think you'll probably see more of all kinds of riders, but because fixed gears are so popular and so suited to urban riding, I think you'll see a lot of them.
So now that you heard all this, I'd like to welcome you all to join the new Fixed Nation. And, oh, by the way, my name is Brandon Tompkins. I'm a college student, and I've been riding a fixed gear bike for 6 months. And now, see you on the streets.